Okay, today we're going to be doing 1/6 basic constructions using your compass. So with your compass, you want to be able to change the the radius of a circle. So you want to screw in tighter or loosen it up. You don't want to yank on the two ends. You always want to use the dial. So if I bring it in, I can make a circle of that diameter. You do want several pieces of paper under because this point can jab in and ruin the tables. If I want a larger diameter, then all I have to do is loosen it, make it go wider, and from that same point I can make a larger circle. As you're practicing, you want to be pivoting on the point. You could actually make it just go round and round. You could also practice making flowers. Start with a point, draw a circle from any point on that circle. Draw another circle that same size. So always make sure your point's pushed into your paper so it doesn't move. And then from each intersection, you can draw a circle. And those circles will all start overlapping. And you will eventually end up with a flower. I used to spend hours doing this because it was so much fun. See my flower starting to take shape in here? There's 4 petals showing. So from any intersection, you want to keep going on, and you will get your more flowers in there. So we get a 6-pointed flower. And then if I kept going out from any of these other intersections, I would get more flowers in there. Alright, so that's enough practice with basic constructions. We need to start in. And the first thing we're going to want to do to construct a line segment congruent to a given line segment, we want to draw a line with endpoints AB. So anywhere on your paper, draw a line. I'm going to label it A, B. So now I have a line segment AB. I want to draw one congruent to it. So first off, I have to have something placed. I am having troubles. As you can see, I goofed up my A when I wrote it. Every once in a while my mouth does not work, my eyes don't work with my hands. But now I want a ray, because this is going on forever, and this one was starting at C, a ray C. And on that ray, we're going to copy the segment. So to copy the segment, I put my endpoints down on A, push it in, and then I want to have that same length as B, so now I have to make it go longer, scribe an arc. I thought I was in the right spot, but as you see, I don't intersect right. I better make that darker for you. Don't intersect right at B, so I have to make it shorter. So now I'm going exactly through point B. So now I go to C, put my point in, scribe my arc, and this is where A, B actually intersects, and that is a congruent segment. So I have copied that segment AB. So when you do this on your test, I will need to see the constructions. I did put some homework problems in the computer, and they just show you some of the marks, but you'll have to do it by hand because the standard does say construct, so you have to physically construct it. All right, so the second drawing you're doing is construct an angle congruent to a given angle. So my steps are to make an acute angle. All right, so over on my drawing, I just want to draw any acute angle. Don't want it too tiny. Don't want it too big of an acute angle. If you want to label it, you can. It doesn't matter. So the second thing we want to do is draw ray C. Because we're copying this angle, make sure you have room that it can be copied. And I'm going to draw ray C. Okay, so now scribe an arc on the given angle and repeat on C. So I'm going to go to this endpoint. I want to be right in the center of all those intersecting lines. Push in my point, and I can use any size of arc. Scribe an arc. Move your endpoint down to your point C. Jab it in. Scribe your arc. Okay, so now measure across the angle and scribe arc on ray C. So the angle that I'm measuring across is your original angle. You can start from either side. Again, I'm doing this left-handed. You guys are right-handed. So again, it needs to go right through the intersection because the angle needs to match up. Okay, finally I have it. So I'm going to double check that that measurement's right. So I'm going to come back to that intersection, come over here. That's a little off. I know, I'm picky. But when you do your constructions, I'm going to come over them with my compass and make sure that you're pretty close. All right, so I've measured across my angle. So on ray C, I want to go where the arc intersects the line segment, put in my endpoint, and now scribe an arc. Where those two arcs intersect is the same angle as the original angle. So now I draw, I forgot to put that in there. So now I draw a line from the endpoint through the intersection of my two arcs, and I have copied the angle. So step 5, draw a line through point C and the intersecting arcs. Whew. All right, so those are our first two constructions. Our next one, as you notice, I have all those papers, that's so I don't stab my desk, is to construct a perpendicular bisector. And as you can see, again, I had troubles with my letters, but it's okay. Okay, so here's my directions. First thing I want to do is draw a line. So anywhere on your paper, draw a line, and I want to label it with A and B. So let's go A, B, and now I want to scribe an arc that is greater than halfway across. So you're kind of guessing at where that halfway point is. Again, your end point goes in at A. So because that looks like it could be close to half, I'm going to go a little further just to make sure I'm greater than half. And now I want to scribe an arc. So then using that same measure, so I don't change anything, I go to the other endpoint of B, put my point in, scribe that same measured arc, and they should intersect. If they don't intersect, you are not greater than half. My two arcs intersect up here and down here, and if I draw a line through that intersection, I now will have a perpendicular bisector. Make sure when you're going through with your line here that you are also at the intersection, and I'm picking on that when I see your drawings also. If you're way over here and you said that went through that point, then that's not going to be correct. Okay, so that is my perpendicular bisector. If I measured that angle, it should be a 90-degree angle, and it should be halfway between the two endpoints. Last construction for today is to construct an angle bisector. So the first thing we need to do is draw an angle. Again, any angle will work. You don't want too small. You don't want too large. It's easier with an acute angle, not an obtuse. All right, so scribe my angle. Now scribe an arc. So again, start at the vertex, scribe an arc. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger here. So scribe your arc. From each intersection, scribe another arc. So you could keep that same length where the first arc intersected with your angle. Well, on mine, it's going to be too big, so I better go smaller. Now you scribe an arc. Now you go to the other. I'm going to repeat that just because I was off my paper, it didn't go flat. From the other intersection, put your endpoint down, scribe using that same measure, and the two arcs intersect. That is your angle bisector. So now I draw a line from my vertex through that intersection point. Move closer there. And I've drawn my ray that intersects this, bisects, that angle and divides it into two congruent angles. And that is my last construction of the day. And you'll be able to start your homework.